Right,
Let's go. Episode 2.
episode 2.
Num-
Get
number
this
one.
underway.
Number 1 went down pretty good, I'd say.
I think so. Since we put it up, was it?
About a week ago. We're recording this late.
Yeah.
We normally record on a Tuesday, but I fucked up this week, and I was too busy, so we're actually recording this late on a Thursday.
And I think the fact that we didn't promote it or say anything about doing
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
then mention it, I think it was the night before uploading
Yeah.
it, and in 24 hours we got over 100 views. So I think
I
that's a
think
pretty good start.
we were both a bit like not nervous, but we both didn't want to promote it beforehand because
No.
it was like we'll see how it goes, and then if we're gonna release it, we'll just say it then.
Yeah.
So we left it right up until the last minute. So yeah, we haven't advertised that we were doing this really.
No.
I didn't really tell anyone. We were just sort of
I
keeping
think
it.
I mentioned it to like a couple of close friends
Yeah,
just to see what they thought. But apart from that, no one knew about it.
that's
We
it.
never really knew when we were going to actually start
No,
uploading them.
exactly.
But
yeah,
I think so far I'm happy with the results.
yeah, same. It's
Um,
not going to be amazing. It'll get better as we go along.
Yeah, as we get
Yeah.
better with it. But
One of the things that we took as feedback is that we actually didn't introduce ourselves.
yeah,
So
that would be helpful if we did.
it did, yeah. So I'm Mason. I am a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and I train at Newbury BJJ, which is our coach is Steve, and we train under Perestra UK.
Yeah.
So we're affiliated with Perestra.
Yeah.
I'll get more into. Well, we'll both get more into our stories in a later podcast. But yeah, as an introduction, that's me really.
And I think both of us that the ways we got into jiu-jitsu and the reasons why are both quite. But yeah, I'm John. I am a purple belt at Newbury as well. I've been training there since I started jiu-jitsu. Never left. So
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't always trained
No.
there, so yeah.
But yeah, it was the first martial art I ever did. Never done anything before that apart from as a kid wrestle on the trampoline, thinking we were in WWE.
Mm.
Apart from that, never done anything. Never been interested in striking anyone. Don't like fighting, but find myself choking people on a daily basis. So
On and off the mats.
off the mats yet to, but it's good to know what is
Mm.
possible.
So, how's your week of training been?
This week's been pretty good. I went to an open mat at another gym last weekend. That was good fun.
Yeah.
I do really enjoy. I haven't done it in a while, but it was quite nice. Went down there by myself, got some good rounds in, met
Yeah.
some people. I just love doing that sort of thing. So it's
Yeah.
nice to do that again.
It's
Teach
like
twice a week.
It's like a little dip in the toe, isn't it? Of like almost, if you don't really like competing, or
Yeah.
you don't know if you're gonna want to to start competing. If you start going to a couple of like drop-in open mats of people you don't know, it's kind of a little taster, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think I did touch on this last week, but people do seem to go a little bit harder, or if they don't know you, or if they don't know what belt you are, sort of thing. So it's a good little, it's a good tester of your own skill as well, isn't it? Like what
Yeah,
you've
'cause
been
like-
learning.
Yeah, especially like when you're training at your own club, everyone knows
Yeah.
either your game. You get to learn each other's games. It makes it more difficult to get stuff on people because they know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Plus, you're all learning the same thing that week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So going to a open mat and training somewhere else, you get to really test what you already know and see if it works. So I really enjoy it.
Mm.
I know some clubs don't like cross training, but a lot of the places around here, we all cross train, and it's just a good vibe.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it. We've even got something down Winchester way, which I haven't been to in a while, which is Sub Club.
Yeah,
And that's brilliant because
that's
I
like
think-
loads of gyms coming
yeah,
together, isn't
at
it?
the most, I think I remember during the summer a couple of years back, there was like 50 of
Yeah.
us, and it was just so many different clubs.
Yeah,
Everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone loves it. Everyone gets along. It's just a good vibe.
yeah. I've never actually been to a sub club.
No.
That's one of the things that you do actually invite me to, but I haven't been yet.
I was
Cool.
going to go to Sunday's one, but I was so knackered on Saturday. I just rested and then went to work, I think, later in the day.
Yeah, nice.
But apart from that, yeah, training's been good. Still teaching, still covering Sam's Wednesday morning.
Yeah,
I
you've been
think
covering that for a while.
Yeah, I think it's been like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Year and a half of covering it, waiting for him to.
Just covering.
Yeah.
Just not taking it over.
No, not
Just
taking
covering.
it over, just covering it.
Yeah. One day.
One day he'll come back, I'm
Mm.
sure. But one thing we did speak about was we asked comments, didn't we, for
Yeah,
this
my
podcast?
week of training's been fine, John. Thanks.
Oh shit, yeah, I forgot about that. How was your week?
Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah, to be honest, there's not much to report.
No,
Just same classes,
yeah.
training.
Do you feel like there's any sort of submission at the moment that you're working on, or practicing, or finding success with?
No, not particularly.
No.
No, I went for a massive armbar phase, just trying to find them from like all different positions,
Yeah,
and I've sort of come out the back of that now. And I've just been touching on a few like of the more interesting subs like Gogo Plata and stuff like that. But yeah, to be honest, I haven't got much to report from this week. I've been
no.
very busy. I don't even think I trained on Saturday. I can't remember. But yeah, good. Open mat tonight. Get there, see how it goes.
I really want to get to the open mat. Part of me thinks I should stay and work, so I don't have to work so much tomorrow.
Nah, you'll be alright.
But
I give you full permission.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
you
go
can-
then.
That's fine. See
I
you
think-
later.
As you were just mentioning about the techniques that you've been finding success with at the moment, I think that's probably a good point to go into a question
Yeah.
from Archie,
Okay.
who said favourite techniques and least favourite and why.
Oh goodness.
Mm.
Well, have you thought about this question?
A little bit.
You answer it first, then, and let me have.
So I think my favourite technique at the moment is probably either rear naked choke,
Yeah.
because reasons for that, it's not something you can just go straight into. You have to get the
Work for
control.
it. Yeah.
You have to get to the back. You have to control the back, and then you can submit.
Yeah.
You can't just throw it in because they're gonna spin out or get out of the submission. Least favourite, so it
Technique.
doesn't have to be a
Oh,
submission.
okay.
Least favourite technique, probably that lasso stuff that we've been doing.
Oh, really?
One of them, I can't remember the name of it,
Yeah.
but just one where you have to come under. Was it from like De La Riva, something like that? I can't remember, but yeah, I just didn't like it. Didn't get
Yeah.
the hang of it.
Yeah.
Not gonna do it.
But that's quite an important thing to remember, is that when you train at a club that we obviously have set. I think our coach works off of like around a month. I think we work on something for around a month, and then we
That area and then move on
then
from
move
it.
on to something else. And the thing is, like, those techniques, they're not always for everyone.
No, and that's something to remember as
Yeah.
a beginner, especially.
If you turn up for a month, or like you've trained for a month and then a month later you're doing something and you think, oh, I can't get this, I don't like this, blah blah blah, you've just got to persevere and stick through it, because most gyms then switch on to something else, and then the next month it might be
Yeah.
something that you absolutely love, and it's like, oh, this is amazing, I'm really good at this.
And
So,
not every technique's going to work
Yeah,
for everyone. Like
that's
that's
it.
why, like Bernie's really good at showing a position, but showing different techniques you can use from there.
that
So
position.
then, because like flower sweep's not going to be something that everyone's going to use.
Yeah.
Some people use it, some people won't. So it's like you just got to pick and choose. And I think for a beginner to remember, you're not expected to remember
know
or learn everything.
Yeah, and if you
Everyone's game's different.
That's it, and that's what, going off of that again, even if you're not a white belt or if you're higher belts, it's still the same. Like
Yeah.
blue belt's a bit funny, but I suppose I wouldn't. Again, I don't know, but I'm guessing like most people normally say once you reach purple belt, you've sort of developed your own
Yeah.
game as such, and you're still going to go to classes and think that doesn't work for me because I know that I won't get myself in that position or whatever. That's just jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So not everything is for everyone.
No.
And if you knew every technique and every submission and everything worked for you, then you'd be the best in the world.
Yeah.
So that's it, isn't it? But for me, just repeat the question.
So the question was,
This is from Archie.
yeah, favorite technique and least favorite.
I suppose favorite technique as such for me would be some like arm bars, as in I don't know if you'd really call it much of a technique, but like being able to find. So a couple of guys that I train with, I find arm bars from quite a lot of different like places, and I try and explain it to them that your elbow can only really bend in one motion. Like your wrist can bend different motions, your shoulder can bend in different motions, but your arm, your elbow joint is literally one place that it'll bend. So if someone's straight arming you, then normally you can try and find an arm bar from there or whatever. You've only got to push that joint. So yeah, my favourite technique to try and work on or find is definitely like arm bars. And my least favourite, that's a hard one. I don't really like much stuff from like mount.
No.
Yeah. Either on top or.
Why is that?
I don't know. We did it a couple of months ago, I think, where we just worked on a lot of mount stuff, and I just tend to transition straight out of it.
Just goes straight to the back or
straight
side
to
control.
Yeah. Like I have a lot more that I would like to do from either the back or, like you say, side control and stuff like that.
Is that a good reason to stay in mount?
Yeah, exactly, 100%. That's what for answering the questions.
Yeah.
Example is that my mount stuff is what I don't really enjoy, but I definitely work on it. Like I do get into mount and I try and stay there.
I think mount's one of my favourite positions at the moment, just because I love just smother people and just make them tired and sweaty, and that's starting to go the wrong way, but we'll just end that bit there.
Yeah. I've been on the receiving end of that as well.
Yeah. For a good few minutes.
Yeah.
Another question we've got. This person's probably going to want to be anonymous.
Oh, show me.
How to defeat Mason.
Oh, I know exactly who that is.
Oh, there we go.
That would
Doesn't
be
matter.
Matt.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I would say smother.
Yeah, but I haven't tapped to it yet.
True. I can't think of something.
You've definitely submitted me thousands of times. There's definitely ways. He's just
every other way.
He just can't.
He's just white belt. That's probably why.
So Matt and Tom, I've known them like way before training.
Okay.
So they were mates way before training. Obviously, I've trained before them, and then they've both come and joined.
Did you get them into it, or were they interested in it?
Matt, sort of. It was sort of like a 50-50 between me and Tom, because Tom started just before Matt, I think. Matt knew that I've trained before, obviously, anyway. But, so because I've known them so long, I definitely have like I go a little bit harder on them, basically. So
you always do against your mates.
That's it. So hence why that question's come up, because I definitely don't give them much.
They are coming along fast, though.
Yeah.
They're two like white belts that.
What's interesting about those two is Matt, I would say, is one of those people that can watch a technique either on a video or like even when we went to Polaris and stuff like that, he can watch techniques and he can
pick it up.
Tom, I think Tom's definitely more of a, same as me, Tom's more of a physical learner, like experiment with something in different positions to get there. But when Tom nails a position down, he definitely gets it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like for ages he was doing like it sounds stupid or simple, but side control to mount. Like he would get that all the time. If he got you into side control, he'd be able to get onto mount, control the knees and sweep come over the top and get into mount, and that just works. But then Matt will get you in like this. A good example is when you went and trained at Sean's and you showed him how to do a toe hold, and then he gets you in a toe hold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like fast learner. But they're coming along rapidly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good. That answers that question, doesn't it? We've answered it.
Yeah, well,
That was
I
just
can't answer it.
how to defeat Mason.
Yeah,
Everything will defeat you, to be honest.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly.
All white belts can do it. Um, Best advice for BJJ training you've received and why?
I would say if I was to give someone is just to enjoy it and not
Don't take it too
don't
serious.
take it too seriously. Like I'm sure they probably mean like go to the gym, do loads of strength and conditioning and that, but you don't. Like I don't do anything.
No,
That's not for.
I
don't
just do
have to.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
I keep being told I need to start stretching. So the person who does my massages she keeps saying I need to start stretching beforehand or after. Do some yoga.
yeah.
I should.
We're probably not the best people to give advice on what you should do for training
No.
because we both train through injuries. We both don't do any sort of like strength and conditioning. We both don't have the most amazing diets.
The one thing I would say though, for advice for training, is control your breathing
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
and relax.
yeah. Base like.
The more you can relax,
Who did the guy? Who is it? A white belt that's asked that?
yeah,
Right. Yeah. So he's probably asking it for a point of like he's just getting into jiu-jitsu, and it's like.
So the person who was asked, they're like, I'm not sure if they want their names to be mentioned or not, so I might have to start saying post if you want it to be anonymous or not.
Yeah.
But for this case, we'll just not mention name.
Yeah.
But he's pretty decent already.
Yeah, I think I know who it is. So it's take advice from the right people.
Yep.
So don't really like, you'll basically you'll know who to take advice from. Any coloured belts, anyone who's like doing well. Don't white belts. I won't get into that, but and then yeah, just enjoy it. Like it's a long journey. You're not going to pick everything up straight away. You are going to have injuries and stuff like that. And don't worry about belts. Don't worry about stripes. Just turn up and do it for the good reason of training jiu-jitsu, which is, to enjoy it. It's a good journey, and you'll get addicted to it. And that's my advice. Really, is just don't take it seriously. Just be there for the right reasons.
I think to help with the training, the controlling your breathing, relaxing, just gives you more time and more enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
If you stiffen up, you're just going to get tired and you're just going to get submitted faster, and not to worry about being submitted.
Yeah,
it happens.
We had this conversation the other day off of the podcast, and we were on the phone, and I said, okay. Sorry about the sound quality for the first bit. I messed my mic up. John's just told me off. What was I saying?
You're talking about.
Oh yeah. So we were having this conversation the other day about. Oh, it's not necessarily just white belts, but guys that start training. And they are, I suppose it's particularly worse for stronger guys when they first start training and they think they can just strength out of everything.
Yeah.
And you definitely lose a bit of, you don't learn the technique as quick because you just want to be strong and you're like, you're stiff arming and you're just like so tense, not breathing. You're like, get off me. Do you know what I mean? And that's not.
I think that's partially down to the lack of technique and knowing.
All they want to do is use their strength. But the sooner you can learn to relax, breathe, and your technique will then overtake the strength. Essentially, that's what should happen.
And it gives when you start panicking, like it's with anything in life. If you start panicking about something,
it normally gets worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see it more in jiu-jitsu because you get submitted. Like you start panicking, you end up getting choked.
But that's the other thing, is that being submitted is not a bad thing.
No.
Maybe in a competition, but in the rest of your jiu-jitsu life, being submitted really, really doesn't matter.
No.
Like,
it's a good thing, in a way.
Eventually, if you keep getting submitted from one position, eventually you'll learn not to be in that position anymore, and then you won't get submitted from there.
Yeah.
And that's how you build then.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I definitely think, that's probably the one thing that I would always tell people is relax and just pretty much accept what will happen, because it will
Yeah.
happen whether you try and fight it or not.
Like getting
For a
smothered
beginner.
for 4 minutes
Yeah,
by you
don't fight it. Enjoy
in front
it.
of the coach.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the moment.
I did enjoy it.
There's a really tough question, but we're going to leave that one till last, I think, because
Is that Victor's?
yeah.
Yeah.
Another one: etiquette and unspoken rules for newbies. You have a great example about not asking questions in open mats, and you're there to train, not teach. So on the last one, I mentioned when I'm at an open mat, I don't particularly
yeah.
like to be asked
Yeah.
to show techniques and
Yeah.
stuff, because it's the only real time I get to train.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
But I think there's nothing wrong with asking someone.
Yeah, I mean,
Just don't be upset or like feel like they don't like you if they say not
I'm
right
just
now
here
or
to
something.
train. Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone's there for a certain reason.
Yeah,
Like
that's it.
obviously, as a beginner, you want to learn, and if you roll with someone and they do something and you really want to know how to do that, there's nothing wrong with asking them.
Yeah.
But
But they might just say, "Oh, I'll show you another time."
yeah,
or
I'll show
something.
you another day, or at the end of class,
Yeah.
ask me again.
Yeah, that's
Like,
it.
There's definitely nothing wrong with it. Like, I'm not saying no one come to me and ask me a question.
Yeah.
You're more than, and you can always come and speak to me. Like, I'm always welcoming. I may not look it sometimes because I might be focused on just getting my training in,
Yeah.
but there's no harm with asking anyone a question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just if they don't have the time right then to answer it, then just respect it and then
That's it.
continue
I mean,
on.
you'll see once the open mat sort of kicks off. I mean, not just open mat, but like rolling or whatever. Some people will be there just to drill, or they'll spend half of the time drilling, or 5, 10, 15 minutes drilling, and then they'll go into their roles.
Yeah,
And if you see someone doing that, they're probably the people to approach if you want to ask something.
yeah,
Again, coloured belts really. And then if someone's just like focusing on rolling, then yeah, they're obviously there for a reason. They probably don't want to like then start having to talk someone through side control escapes or
yeah.
something. But we don't particularly implement this, but other gyms that I've trained at do, and it's the outranking when you're rolling rule.
That's something that I tend to do.
Yeah, so
I think it's sort of phased out of our club a little bit,
yeah,
but I still do it,
and
I've always respected it as
yeah,
well.
I've always respected it. So there's a couple of rules that I was sort of like, like not told, but I got the impression of, which is, and again, anyone that's listening that trains at Newbury, we don't do this, but this is just an example.
What can happen?
Yeah,
in
what
some
can
places.
happen is if you're a lower rank than someone, you shouldn't actually ask them for a roll.
Yeah,
They can approach you, especially like with black belts and stuff like that. I don't really know why, because I guess it's because of like an ego thing, because like the whatever belt might
Ow.
they're
Sorry.
gonna go. They're gonna, if like a white belt, blue belt, whatever, is gonna go harder on a black belt potentially, because they're gonna
Yeah.
want to prove themselves or whatever. So I think it's why. So yeah, one of the things that I got told in the past was like, you don't really approach higher belts.
Mm.
I definitely ignore that, because I just call out you and Sam and that all the time. Normally, like putting my finger up to your saying.
Yeah,
The other thing again is with the belt rule is that again we don't. I think we sort of did we experiment a little bit with this at Newbury, and then we sort of
well, like giving space to
yeah.
people
So
I think some of us still do it.
yeah,
some of
I
us
do
don't.
it. Yeah, like especially if I look over and say like Bernie is rolling with someone, regardless, I'll get out their way.
Yeah,
And like the higher belts than me. But yeah, so the rule is, if two people roll in, outrank you and the person you're rolling with. So an example is if I'm a blue belt, if I'm rolling with a white belt, and I bump into you, but you're rolling with a white belt, well, you guys outrank us because
Yeah.
you're obviously higher belt. So we should then stop what we're doing and get out of your way.
we'll just scooch out the way slowly.
I think the reason why it first started, and it's sort of disrespectful in a sense, but people considered that higher belts would be potentially working on something better, or their roles would be, not better, but sort of like.
Is it like kind of almost like respecting your elders?
Yeah,
in a way.
Sort of, yeah. It's just rank respect, isn't it? I suppose, yeah. So
the time that you put in and everything like that.
Yeah, that's it.
And
also, other gyms don't let white belts go to open mats.
No.
So
some places, they don't roll until they're a blue belt.
Yeah. So we're quite lucky at Newbury because they're very, very accepting.
I think it's rare that you get places that don't let white belts roll these days.
Yeah.
Or it's just a certain, in particular, academy that does that.
Yeah.
But everywhere I've been, they allow white belts rolling.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing. When it comes to that as an etiquette on the open mats or just rolling, sometimes, depending on the situation, I'll still get out of the way for a lower rank if I'm literally doing nothing.
Yeah.
Or like if I'm just stood up about to like pass an open guard or something, I might just pull my partner out of the way if there's something interesting going on or someone's working a submission next to me. It's just being aware of your surroundings.
That's
I think.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things. This will link to another question that we were asked as well previously, but it is open mats are so busy, or rolling in general. Getting good at focusing on almost what is going on around you at the same time. I mean,
that's a skill in itself.
It is a skill in itself, but it will help you. The amount of times I've seen people get kicked in the head or headbutt, head clashing or whatever. I'm always trying to be aware of what's going on, and like I'll be halfway through a roll and I'll like grab someone's foot above my head and almost be like I'm here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, just being aware. Because then if you do bump into like a brown belt and a purple belt rolling, you can, if you're just led on your back and someone's on mount, then you can go, oh come on mate, let's just reset over there.
I think it's a bit more difficult these days as well because no-gi's a lot more popular.
Yeah.
You can't tell someone's rank a lot of the time if they haven't got a ranked rash guard on, and if you're a beginner you can't really tell the difference between black belt and a brown belt and a purple, blue, blah blah blah. So it's just respecting what's going on around you.
Yeah.
And just being aware, like if you're not really working a submission or nothing's really going on, you're just stuck in a position.
Yeah, move.
Just scooch out of the way.
Yeah. You don't even have to move. Like,
it doesn't need to be far.
How many times have we been rolling? I'll be on the bottom. You'll be like doing a guard pass or something, and I'll be like, "Oh, just shift us out of the way." You literally grab my legs and drag me a foot away, and then we just carry on. Like, yeah. It's
just being aware of the surroundings.
Definitely, yeah.
Just to make sure nothing happens, because no one wants to get injured. We're all there to have fun.
And the worst thing to do would be put out of jiu-jitsu because you
accidentally kicked someone.
Do you remember? Do you remember when you put your big toe down into my eye without realising?
No.
I was like on my back rolling with someone else, and you were like guard passing, and like you went past, and as you went past, you obviously like put your foot down. Your big toe went straight into my eye.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I always remember that. But
was that recent?
Not that recent. Probably like a year ago.
Oh, okay.
But you're gonna get in. Well, you're not necessarily going to get injured, but you can get injured in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Try and make it that it's actually worthwhile, not just because you got someone's big toe crushed in your eye whilst rolling with someone else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, and never be scared to ask someone a question.
Yeah,
I think I may have over exaggerated it a little bit when I said last time.
Everyone hates you now.
Yeah, don't ask me questions when I'm at an open mat.
Yeah,
it's a bit of an over exaggeration. Obviously, people come to open mats for different reasons. Some people could have had a really bad day and they just want to get in their focus and just roll, get some energy out, not think about anything else. Some people like going there, have a chat with people, relax, have some chill rolls, or some people go there to practice techniques, spar. That's what an open mat's for, is just turn up and do what you want to do, and not have to worry about learning a certain technique. You can go there and practice something that you want to work on.
Yeah. I think it's definitely something that I need to get better at, is saying no to people.
Yeah.
Because I definitely sometimes get caught up in like showing, like someone will come over and be like, "Oh, how'd you do this? How'd you do that?" And some weeks it's like fine, but some weeks I just want to roll, and I really need to be like, "Nah, I'm just rolling this week." Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's the only real session where we get just sparring in.
Yeah.
We get occasional like positional sparring in other classes
Yeah, or
and stuff
a
like
few
that.
rolls at the end of a class, but yeah.
It's nice to get that hour of
Yeah.
just spar and be able to go.
And it
over
goes
stuff
so
that
quick
you do.
as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely.
Surprising how quick it does go.
What was a recap of that question again? Sorry.
Etiquette for beginners and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just respect.
Unspoken rules.
Respect
Cleaning.
respect the higher belts, because when you get there, you'll realise how hard and how much work it is to gain other belts, and
to
then
stick through it and get to like a blue belt and then purple and then brown and black. Like it is a journey.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not something where you just pick up a black belt in 2 years. You have to put so much time and effort in.
And once you get there, then you see, you sort of understand.
Yeah.
And yeah, cleaning, like at the end of the classes and stuff like that. I mean, we're not necessarily like, oh, the white belts have to do it.
Oh no.
But
anyone, whoever's available.
Yeah, exactly. So, just pick up a brush, sweep the mats, disinfect the mats off and stuff like that.
We all just want to be in a safe, clean environment, so everyone's going to chip in and do
That's
that.
it.
And also cleaning yourself, make sure your kit's clean.
Unspoken rules. Don't really think.
Apart from like the giving space to higher belts, can't think of many others.
I don't really think there.
Just respecting your partners.
Yeah, that's it. I can't really think there's anything that's like
really stands out.
If someone did something, everyone else would be like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
that might go on to another question.
Oh.
Wrist locking white belts and smothering white belts. Is that acceptable or not?
Toe holding white belts.
Yeah, and a toe hold.
I think.
What's your opinion?
My opinion is me and Sam Chesel had a little thing about this the other day, because I wrist locked him. Obviously, I'm blue belt, he's purple belt, so it's a bit different. But we were just joking around, and I like put a wrist lock on him, and he said to me afterwards, he was like, "It's kind of okay because he knows that I'm not just gonna
rip it on,
snap his wrist." And the same with him. Same with like when I toe hold, and stuff like that. I think it's a tough one, because I think it's okay with the right people. I think if white belts, the problem is if a white belt learns those things but doesn't understand the mechanics of where it can damage,
where it can go
wrong, it gets a bit lethal. And I guess this is why it's sort of like you shouldn't be doing these techniques until X belt. Because that's where injuries would happen. Like if two white belts are just like, "Oh, I saw this is a toe hold," and then bang, do you know what I mean? That's broken ankle, blown out knee, whatever. If I know the person, I'll wrist lock a white belt. Do you know what I mean? I'll heel hook them and all that. But it's only if I know them and I'm sort of like messing around.
I think for me, I'll wrist lock a white belt if I know them well.
Yeah, that's it. If you're mates with them, exactly.
Just like apply it a little bit, but not like put it on to the point where they'll tap. Just like a little tap sort of thing. If you say like,
just a little
I could
giggle.
do this sort of thing. Smothering,
Yeah,
I'll
smothering.
smother a white belt.
Yeah. I think smothering's legal anyway, isn't it?
Some competitions, not all of them. But I think a smother is a great way, especially for someone who's a lot bigger, a lot stronger, like a big gym guy or something. Get on top of them, smother them for a bit, just let them know like you have control. Just slow them down.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can help relax people because they start getting so gassed they don't have the energy to go hard anymore.
I wish I would say that I had the mass to mother's milk, but I haven't really developed that yet.
No, still working on it.
Yeah, but I would say, as a general rule, I would respect the rank rules as such, as in like, I mean, wrist locks aren't even legal in comp, are they, till brown?
No, wrist locks are white belt. Blue belt, sorry.
Are you sure?
Yeah. You can start wrist locking at blue belt.
Didn't know that.
Didn't you?
No.
That's pretty much, I think, the main difference between white and blue
Oh,
belt
is it?
is wrist locks.
Okay, so well, basically, maybe I'm not really the person to be talking about this then. But I would just say, like, respect it and learn. If you're going to start trying a technique, you really need to. It's the same with anything, though, I know. But if you armbar someone, you kind of know that if it went too far, what's going to happen. But with, like, heel hooks, toe holds, I mean, wrist locks, okay, no, wrist locks is quite obvious. You're going to snap someone's wrist. But, yeah, I think it's just a case of, like, understanding those submissions before you start applying them to people. That's all I could really say on it because, yeah.
I can't really think of any other ethical rules, like unspoken rules.
What was the question? What was it like? Should you be wrist locking white belts?
I went back to the one before that, but no, that one was is it acceptable to wrist lock white belts?
Essentially, probably not. But
if they're a really good friend of yours, then
yeah.
If you know them well, if they're just a beginner, like it's their first time, I wouldn't
definitely
suggest
don't
it.
be. Don't be.
Keep it to the blue belts.
That's it. Yeah.
Have
we got more questions?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I wrote a question down. Here's one that could divide the opinions.
No, I haven't been told this yet.
No. So, I put it as guard pulling versus wrestling, and I said, can you be good at jiu-jitsu or a jiu-jitsu athlete if you don't focus on wrestling?
Yes.
Okay, that was easy, right? We'll move on.
No, I think there's so many people that don't wrestle.
Yeah,
and
I don't. So.
Yeah, and you can get really far with it. It's just preference. Like I quite enjoy the wrestling recently, and it is tiring and it's a long slog. But it's the same as when you start on BJJ for the first time.
Yeah,
it's long and it's difficult.
I think what brought me on to sort of that question was I've been watching a few bits and pieces of competitions and whatever, and it's funny because this could get me a bit of hate here, but oh well. We say wrestling, don't we, in jiu-jitsu? We're like, but we're not wrestlers.
No.
Like Americans, they do like actual wrestling, and they have like, but we learn certain stuff, and it's more like takedown stuff and that, isn't it? Yeah, and I know it's wrestling, but I watch competitions, and I feel like people just stand up and just like collar tie each other and like try and grab like double arm drag and stuff like that. Yeah, but to me, because I don't wrestle, that just looks like a waste of time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know. I'm not saying
become a stalemate because
that's it. Yeah, exactly.
I know from before I did any wrestling, like at competition, people just grab a collar tie and then just be like dragging on that, and it can be tiring. Yeah, it's a lot because they don't know what else to do.
And that's what I mean. Like if you don't know and you go to a comp situation, you're just stood up and like you say, that's probably the best way of putting it. It just becomes such a stalemate that I'm almost like, God, one of you just sit down and start
But then neither person wants to be the one having to be on their back because they want to be the one on top.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time you want to be on top at a comp, even if you're comfortable on your back, just because it's a lot less work. Like being on, but carrying someone's weight on you.
Yeah, but then the one thing that sort of like so I'm not a wrestler. I can.
Sorry, what was that? Did you say you're not a wrestler?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not in any by any means am I. My stand up is. I would say
exist.
I would say I start 99.9% of rolls sat down.
Yeah, but that's why we get into jiu-jitsu because that's what we want to do.
Yeah,
is
that's it.
Do the grappling.
I know a certain amount of stuff stood up. Like we were doing, was it in the colour belt class a couple of weeks ago or something? We were doing some stand-up stuff, weren't we?
Yeah.
For single leg or whatever, and like whatever I can sort of just about hold my own, Yeah. But I like sitting down because I like playing bottom. But what I don't like is that thing where it would be like two nogi guys,
Yep.
and they're literally like the match will start and they both just sit down. That's what I'm like. I sort of, if I was to start standing up, I'll pull guard, but I would like to almost feel them out first,
Yeah.
but not stall and not like waste time like trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to do this. Just be like, right, if they sit down, then it's like, all right, okay, I'll try and guard pass. Or if I sit down and they don't, then do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bit better. But
I've definitely enjoyed getting better or like learning more wrestling,
yeah,
more techniques, and trying to chain takedowns together. Sometimes I'll use it, sometimes I'll just pull guard. Like recently, I quite enjoy just doing an arm drag from seated, and it's starting to piss off a couple of people. I won't name any names, but they know who they are. I think I got like 3 arm drags from seated on the same person in one round, and it was just annoying because you just send up straight on their back in some circumstances. But no, wrestling is definitely beneficial. So is judo towards jiu-jitsu, especially for competitions, because you start standing, getting used to being able to grab a collar and get some sort of throw or wrestle. It's definitely worth learning. So get to the Wednesday morning classes, 6:30.
yeah, it's too early for me.
Too
Yeah.
early.
I say so. You know, I look at when I look at people like my weight or around my weight. So like the likes of like Mikey Musumeci and stuff like that. Like he doesn't. Well, unless I'm missing it, but he just pulls guard.
I
Like
believe so.
yeah, he just works from the bottom and stuff like that. And he's like a top level. Do you know what I mean? Athlete. So yeah, I just thought it would be an interesting one. Say comment, let us know if you think that it basically if you think that you need to know some form of stand up to be good at jiu-jitsu. I know a lot of other gyms. I follow some other gyms on Instagram and that, and a lot of them are like, we start from standing.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, got another question?
Final question we've got.
Oh,
But I think what we should start doing, I'll say it now, is DM the account if you don't want your name mentioned, and then comment on a post if you don't mind your name being mentioned.
yeah, it's fine.
Makes sense,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
DM's more private. So this person DM'd me.
Slide in my DMs.
I'm not sure. I don't have any stats for this, but only 5% of MMA athletes can make a living. What do you think the percentage is for BJJ?
So basically, what he's saying is 5% of people that train MMA make
Try
a
and-
living out of it, so get paid from it.
Yeah.
So what do we think it is from jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. What do we think the percentage is that can actually make a living?
It's got to
Of
be
people who actually trying to make it
Yeah.
their job.
It's got to be less than 5%, hasn't it?
Oh, I would say, off the top of my head, like, if I think about all the people that I train with, the amount of people that compete, 0 of them make a living
Yeah,
out of it.
exactly. Yeah,
They all
And
have
I-
jobs.
yeah, exactly. And
I'd say it must be like 2%.
it's got to be low, hasn't it?
I would have thought so.
I think you've got to. There's a few exceptions, but I think you've got to accept that if you want to make a living out of jiu-jitsu, I don't think you're ever going to be a rich person.
No.
Like, obviously, there's exceptions,
Yeah,
and some of the top level athletes are making a lot of money.
yeah.
But even I think I listened to a podcast with Craig Jones and Theon, and she makes a living out of jiu-jitsu, but even she said like that it's hard, you
Yeah.
know,
It's not easy.
and you know she's probably considered one of the best female
I
athletes.
think
in the-
she's number 1 at the
yeah,
moment.
exactly. So she's number 1 in the world, and she's saying that.
Yeah.
So the problem is with jiu-jitsu is, one, it's not televised that much, and 2, it is becoming swamped. So, and I know MMA does, but if you talk in MMA and then you're talking like UFC is worth probably billions of pounds, whereas jiu-jitsu doesn't have like a UFC
I
as
think
such.
the closest thing to UFC we've got is something like who's number 1 or like Polaris. Like,
But they've got UFC
those two big
Invitational,
events.
but I don't think the athletes are getting paid MMA fighter money
No.
from that. Craig Jones is obviously trying to change everything.
Yeah.
You know, paying people £10,000 just to turn up. I personally think that it would be made a lot easier for people to make a living if there was just a level playing field and a fair playing field.
Yeah.
I think if you want to enter like a competition just for just a standard bracketed competition and you have to pay to enter, okay, I understand. When people start doing these not like super fights, but like one-off fights, so like even if you're a blue belt or white belt or whatever, and you're just doing you pay, people have to pay tickets to come and watch you and that.
Yeah.
Those fighters should be getting paid.
Yeah.
Even if it's £100 just to cover their travel to get there. Pardon me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there is no incentive for jiu-jitsu athletes other than the love of the sport to be making it their lifestyle.
One thing I find, like, I'm not sure about other martial arts, because this is the only one I've ever done. So even like boxing or kickboxing or anything like that, I'm not sure what the community's like. But I find, well, everyone sort of knows, jiu-jitsu is such a big community. When you start doing it, it's an addiction.
Yeah,
and
you want to make it your life.
Yeah, and you want to be part of it. So you get people starting brands all the time, it's clothing lines or
Us.
Yeah. Podcasts.
Yeah.
People start doing competitions at their clubs and stuff. So like the jiu-jitsu is becoming swamped with all these different options.
It has, but it hasn't mainstream. So
No.
it is to us because we train.
Yeah.
And again, like this podcast, probably 99% of the listeners are going to be people that train jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Whereas MMA, and I'm going to basically, essentially use UFC as the example of MMA. But so UFC is watched. I think their statistics are mental for like who watches.
Oh, really?
It's probably like something like 50% people that train and people that don't train some form of martial art, and people that have never trained a martial art in their life still watch the UFC. Now, jiu-jitsu just isn't like that.
No.
And it's hard for us to say because we train. So, like you say, we make it our lives. We're doing a podcast about it. But is that why the athletes aren't getting?
The one thing I will say though on that about like jiu-jitsu, I'm already proud of what we've started because I've already had people who don't train jiu-jitsu who've listened to the podcast and already come to me and said about the real which one's more realistic, gi or no gi and stuff, and spoken to me about it.
Yeah.
Which is great because I feel like I've brought someone into the community somewhat. Like,
Yeah.
we all know jiu-jitsu, go and watch jiu-jitsu. Everyone there is going to be someone who does jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Or it might be a family member.
I don't think you're going to go and watch Polaris unless you've either got someone competing or you love jiu-jitsu because. But people look at the celebrities that go and watch the UFC.
Yeah.
That's just.
And some of the celebrities that do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But as I said, like, I'm not sure about other countries, but the UK, I think we've got way too many competitions at the moment.
It's swamped.
There's just too much going on. Every weekend there's something.
I follow a guy, I'm sure he probably won't mind me mentioning his name. I don't really know him.
Just keep the names unmentioned,
Oh, okay.
Just to be safe.
Yeah, I follow a guy on Instagram. He's a purple belt, and he, we don't train with him or anything, changed to somewhere else, but he's literally, I think I've only recently started following him. He literally competes every weekend.
Yeah.
Now that's amazing for him.
Yeah.
Like, fair play. Like, and I think this guy is probably all he does is train. I don't think he has a job or anything. Well, jiu-jitsu is his job, I suppose. But I think the fact that he can do that is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know when it happened where you could just compete every weekend.
But then with that being able to compete every weekend, are you really going to be up against the best in the country? Because everyone's going to be spread out.
Yeah, exactly.
At loads of different comps.
Yeah, that's it.
You have a select couple which like main ones and people know are prestigious and will go and do.
Yeah.
But there's so many going on at a weekend. Like a lot of them are just filled with hobbyists.
Yeah.
If you even get a chance to find anyone,
Yeah.
because everyone's spread out everywhere.
How many times recently I've looked at brackets for like myself or just general brackets, and there's no one in it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I literally probably float around between 65 and 70 kg, right? So that should be a flooded bracket, right? Blue belt
Yeah.
around 70 kg.
What, adult division?
Yeah, adult division. You'd think that bracket would be like full every time. No, sometimes there's not even anyone in it. No, sometimes there's no one in the gi. Sometimes there's no one in the no gi. Like, something's got to change, really.
Yeah.
If like UFC really pumped like the Invitational. I mean, we haven't even had a UFC Invitational in this country, have we? Could be wrong.
I wouldn't know.
No,
I don't
okay.
follow UFC too much.
Yeah, I could be wrong there, but like, I don't know. But if they pumped like on big fight nights, why aren't they doing grappling only? Because people aren't that interested. They want to see people getting punched in the head. The non
They
martial
don't really
art.
understand what's going on when two men are rolling on the floor,
Yeah.
hugging each other.
Yeah, exactly.
They
So-
don't see the difference. Like I remember, I think it was being at a competition with someone who didn't train. One of our mates' partners or something. I sat with them and we're just talking. They didn't really know what was going on. And like, oh, is he doing well? And
I think that was me.
Oh, was it?
Was that not me when you were sat next to Brooke at Budo?
It might have been actually.
Yeah, because I remember in the video in the background you can hear her going, "Oh no," and then you're like, "Oh no, it's fine." He's fine.
He does this all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, yeah. For people who don't do it, it can look like you're in a bad situation. Like, I showed someone yesterday a video of me taking someone down, but because their arm was wrapped around my head, they were like, "Oh, that doesn't look like you're doing too well." It's like, it's because you don't understand the situation. Like,
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine and I can sit there all day because my legs are on the opposite side. That's not going to finish me. I don't need to worry about it. They're just going to gas themselves out.
Oh, I know the video you're on about.
Do you?
From Sean's.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, for people who don't do it, they see an arm around someone's neck and they instantly think that's danger.
Yeah.
It's not always the case, depending on the situation.
This is going to link right back now. But that is another good example of, I think, did we get a question about, like, what was it? Something to do with advice for white belts or advice for people starting out. That's another good thing is, off of that video, and I know exactly the one you're on about, it's where someone's got a guillotine wrapped around your neck, haven't they? And then you go down, but you hop to the right-hand side, and effectively you could set up a Von Flue choke from there.
Yeah.
Now, that person holds onto your neck, and that's the difference between your next level is when you realise, I'm not going to get that guillotine anymore, I need to move on to something else.
Yeah.
And that's like
realising those
situations that will then help you develop in your jiu-jitsu 100%. Because if you're stuck around someone's neck and you're just like trying to squeeze their head off and you haven't realised that they've hopped to the, oh god, I've got to get this right now. So if someone's got you in a guillotine, you hop to the opposite side, don't you? And then you can drive their shoulder down, and you can set up a Von Flue. If you can't realise that someone's doing that to you, then you need to then work on that.
Yeah.
I don't know what just got me to there, but it made me think of that video, and linking back to another question we got asked.
There's definitely loads of situations where we could go over and say, for like a white belt, relax. This is like a situation you're not going to...
Knowing when to give up a position. But
that comes from experience.
It does, but the experience is that you stop.
Yeah.
Because I watch people roll in, like, 2 white belts, and they'll be like, I don't know, I can't think of a good example, but you know when you just know someone's got a position and they're absolutely... I'll tell you a good one is... you know when someone gets into an armbar position, just standard S grip armbar position, and you just see them and they're just trying everything in their power just to pull that arm away, but the guy on the bottom's like got a good grip, do you know what I mean? And their grip's not breaking. the amount of like there's so many other things that you can do from that position. You can take people's back, you can triangle people, you can blah blah blah. The list is endless. Giving up a position isn't a bad thing.
No.
Just like if you're gonna move to something else and transition, ideal.
Yeah.
Like, and also another thing off of that, which is sort of answering that question again, is personally, I don't always think it's a bad thing if, for example, say someone's got your back and the only thing that you can do to get out of there is end up in their close guard, right? Yeah. That is not a bad, okay, yeah, you're not into a good position, but you're out of someone being on your back. And if you, probably having someone on your back is probably going to be the worst position in jiu-jitsu, isn't it?
Yeah.
Realistically. Because you're very weak, you're very powerless there.
Yeah.
So if you, however you get out of that position, and again, this is another bit of advice or whatever for white belts, is that, being in a non-dominant position and then putting yourself into another non-dominant position isn't always the worst thing in the world.
No.
If you then more from that position. But yeah.
It's just being able to, and all these things come from experience.
Yeah.
Learning what works, what doesn't, what's something to worry about, and what's something not. Like when someone's got like a seatbelt on you, no gi or gi, if you only need to worry about that choking hand, like not both of them.
Yeah.
Concentrate on the choking hand.
Yeah.
But I think with that, I think we're about there for this one.
We better wrap it up. We've got a few exciting things coming up though.
Yep.
So this Saturday we've got our
grading day.
Yep. Which is going to be exciting.
Yep. You guys will find out what happens on the next episode.
Yeah. So we'll record on Tuesday. So.
But I think we'll start working on the next one. Will be probably talking about how I got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And then the week after that, we'll go into how you got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And towards the end of both of those episodes, we probably answer some more questions.
Yeah.
And have that as a structure, I think.
Keep an eye on the social media, mainly the Instagram.
Yeah.
Because we potentially are going to start recording a couple of little clips and stuff like that to put on there. So it's not just going to be the podcast. We're going to try and
get some techniques, videos, some just fun stuff that happens in open mats, record, maybe ask some questions as well to people who train.
Yeah.
All sorts of things really. We've got a lot of plans for this, not just a podcast.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of things in the work, and I think for people to hear our stories, I know for sure I'm going to go deep into mine, deeper than when we last recorded. I'll go right into everything to do with my journey.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, same.
Might as well just get out in the open.
Yeah, same. I'll do. I'm fine. Yep.
It's going to be some interesting ones, that's for sure. Some goodish stories, and hopefully it will help some people out listening.
Yeah.
And hopefully this next one will reach to some more non-jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
People.
So we're recording this on a Thursday. Are we still trying to get this out?
I think I can't remember if I said every Friday or what, but I'm thinking to have them come out every Monday.
Okay.
That way, fresh week to go into, and it gives me a full
week to record. To edit.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then if there is a case like for this one recording, we've got plenty of time to get another one out.
Nice. On that note, see you later. And I'm out.
So am I. Back to work.
Bye.